China's terracotta army is one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in history. 8,000 soldiers, sculpted from clay, have stood guard in the dark for over 2,000 years. But the soldiers were never the real prize, because the man they were built to protect is still down there, sealed inside the largest unopened tomb on Earth. We know exactly where he is, we have the technology to walk inside, but for 50 years, we've chosen not to. Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Michael. I have a degree in ancient history, and on this channel, we discuss the unexplainable mysteries of our past. Let's get into it. Over 50 years ago, farmers digging a well in China uncovered an army. Nearly 8,000 life-sized soldiers made of clay, all built to guard a single emperor. But they weren't the real discovery, because the emperor himself still lies beneath a nearby hill, in the largest unopened tomb on Earth. We know where it is, we have the technology to get inside, but for almost 50 years, archaeologists have deliberately chosen not to open it. And once you know what's underneath that hill, you'll understand why some discoveries are simply too dangerous to make. So who was worth all of this? The man in the tomb is Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. Before him, China wasn't one country, it was 7 kingdoms, and they'd been at war for centuries. But by 221 BC, he'd beaten every one of them and pulled them into a single empire. He made everyone use the same writing, the same money, and he even set the width of cart axles, so every wagon ran in the same ruts in the road. The China we know more or less starts with him. He began his tomb the year he became king, at 13. By the traditional account, it grew for 38 years, and they were still building it 2 years after he died. But he was terrified of dying, so he sent expeditions across the sea to look for a potion that would let him live forever. His alchemists gave him mercury to drink, and called it medicine, which, to be honest, may have been the thing that killed him, because he died at 49 years old. So the plan to live forever failed. But the man who refused to die built one of the biggest tombs the world has ever seen, and yet we've barely seen any of it. But why has nobody entered? Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. The sheer size of the tomb is pretty hard to take in. Building this took around 700,000 workers. The whole complex covers about 56 square kilometers, which makes it one of the largest burial complexes anywhere on Earth, far bigger than the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, where they buried Tutankhamun and the pharaohs. And in the middle of it sits a man-made mound, shaped like a flat-topped pyramid. Today it's around 50 meters high. Originally, it was quite a bit taller, maybe twice the height, before 2,000 years of weather wore it down. The clay army most people picture isn't even near the center. It's about 1.5 kilometers out, facing east, the way the emperor's old enemies once lay. Alongside those 8,000 soldiers, there are 130 chariots and 520 horses, and every single soldier looks completely different, with unique hair and armor, so they're modeled like real men. But the soldiers are only the start. Dig around the rest of the site and you find more pits and stranger ones. A pit of acrobats, government officials, ready to run the paperwork of the next life, stables with real horse bones, and one pit holds 46 bronze water birds, set along what was once a little underground stream. Beside them there are clay musicians, posed as if they're about to play for the emperor in the dark. In other words, you can't really call it a grave that he built here. It's more like he built himself a country, a whole working empire, packed underground, so he could go on ruling after he died. But even all the guards, the staff, the animals are just the outer edge of what is hidden. We still haven't reached the man they were all put there to protect. We have exactly one account of what's inside the mound. It comes from a historian called Sima Qian. He was writing more than a century after the emperor died, so he never saw the tomb himself, but what he describes is astonishing. He says they built a palace down there. The ceiling was the night sky, with pearls set overhead for the stars and the constellations. The floor was laid out as a map of China, with the whole empire spread across it. And the rivers and the sea were real in a way. They were recreated in flowing mercury, the liquid metal, pumped through the model so the rivers actually moved. And the emperor himself is meant to be lying right in the middle of all of that, with a jeweled sky over him and a silver river running past him, in the dark, where nobody's looked in over 2,000 years. But there's more. He says the tomb was rigged, crossbows set to fire on their own at anyone who broke in, and lamps that were meant to burn forever. But the trouble is, Sima Qian never once mentions the clay army, which means the source we're trusting missed the biggest thing we found. So maybe we need to take his description with a few pinches of salt. Another expert, a modern one this time, called Duan Qingbo, who ran the dig at this site for over 10 years, thinks Sima Qian made a lot of it up. He reckons the account was really a sales pitch, written to push a later emperor into building something bigger and grander himself. So for a long time, the rivers of Mercury were treated as just that. A good story about a dead tyrant, but still, just a story. But what if that story were true? Well, before we get into that, here is something I think a lot of you would genuinely enjoy. It's called The Book, the ultimate guide to rebuilding a civilization. And honestly, it's unlike any history book I've come across. It's a premium coffee table book, with over 400 pages exploring humanity's greatest inventions and discoveries. The illustrations combine engineering drawings with medieval-style artwork. The print quality is beautiful, and it genuinely feels like a collector's piece. What I love is that it's much more than a history or a science book. Instead, it's a visual journey through civilization that connects history, engineering, art, and design. There's even a hidden quest running through the book for readers to discover. It's raised over $2.3 million on Kickstarter and Indiegogo before becoming a bestseller. So clearly, I'm not the only one who thinks it's special. So if you've got a curious mind, or you're just looking for a unique gift for someone who does, I think you'll love it. You can check it out using the link below, or use the code BUTTON10 for a 10% discount. Well, we can't see inside the tomb, but we can test the ground above it. And mercury, when it sits in soil, slowly leaks upward as a vapor. So if there really were rivers of it down there, you'd expect to find traces in the dirt on the mound. And they did. When researchers measured the soil over the tomb, the mercury came back far higher than normal. Across the points they tested, the average ran about 205 parts per billion. At one spot, it hit as high as 1,440. Then, in 2020, a team from China and Sweden took it further. They aimed a laser radar at the air just above the mound, sensitive enough to pick up the faint mercury vapor drifting off of it. And they caught it, rising up out of the hill, leaking through tiny cracks in the soil after more than 2,000 years. Now, nobody's been inside to measure how much is down there, but the estimates run to tens of tons, and some go as high as 100. Either way, it's a lot of poison sitting under that hill. We laugh the mercury story off as legend, but in fact, it could very well be true. And if that part of the story is true, then what about the rest of it? Well, Sima Qian made a lot of claims, so people have looked at the rest of them in detail too. You can map the inside of the mound without digging it up. Radar and a handful of other scanning tools can read what's under the soil, and what they find isn't a simple grave. It isn't a shaft with a coffin at the bottom. No, it's a structure with big open spaces, like chambers, with corridors running between them. A stepped shape, almost like a building, walled in by thick banks of packed earth and brick. That lines up with what Sima Qian said. It's a palace, not a pit. But the traps are harder to judge. The Qin did have genuinely advanced crossbows, so it's theoretically possible. The triggers were precise bronze mechanisms, mass-produced to a standard nobody else matched for centuries. A loaded crossbow doesn't need a person, it needs a tripwire and tension held in the frame. Lined along a corridor in the dark would make for a pretty nasty surprise for the first person to walk in. Now, after 2,000 years, the wood and the cords have almost certainly rotted. The threat is probably long dead. But would you be brave enough to test the theory when you're the one prizing open the door? Even the most grim part of the story has some backing. Sima Qian said the workers who knew the tomb's secrets were sealed inside it. For a long time, that felt like just another part of the myth. But west of the mound, archaeologists uncovered a cemetery of hundreds of plain graves. The bodies are thought to be the laborers and prisoners who built the place. Some were buried with little clay tags, scratched with a name, a hometown, a rank. And some of the bones still carry the marks of beatings. Now, none of this proves every word he wrote. Parts of it are surely exaggerated. But that's what makes this so strange. And every time we test his account against the actual ground, it holds up better than it has any right to. So the palace is real, we know roughly where it is, and we have the tools to reach it. Yet, we're choosing not to, so the question is, why? For that, we can take a look at the clay soldiers themselves. When the warriors first came out of the ground, they weren't the grey stone colour you see in photos. No, they were painted, bright reds, greens and purples. One head came up with pink still on the lips, like lipstick. For a few seconds, after 2,000 years in the dark, you could see them as they were meant to be seen. But then the air got to them. The paint curled, flaked, and lifted off the clay. Within minutes, the colour was gone. Archaeologists stood there and watched it die in front of them, and there was nothing they could do. So if fired clay, one of the toughest things you can bury, loses its colour that fast, what happens to the fragile stuff? The silk, the lacquer, the wood, any writing or documents, or that painted map of China on the floor? Well, the moment fresh air reaches them, they could be gone before anyone's even recorded what they were. And that's really the lesson behind everything since. They only get one go at this. Open a thing once, badly, and there's no do-over. Whatever was down there is just gone, and you're left holding photos of it. Then there's the mercury. If you open the chamber the wrong way, you don't just lose artifacts, you release a cloud of poison vapor into the air. On top of that, the structure's been under pressure for over 2,000 years. Disturb it, and parts of it could collapse. So China's policy is simple. Protect first, dig later, if at all. They're not rushing the outer pits either. 50 years on, they're still working through the soldiers slowly, a section at a time, leaving most of them buried until they're sure they can handle whatever comes up. As one leading archaeologist put it, you have to leave something for the people who come after you, and avoid the kind of mistake you can never take back. Every tool we have for looking inside also would destroy what's in there. To open the tomb is to risk burning the very thing we opened it to see. The people guarding this tomb aren't being timid. They're not scared of the crossbows or some ancient curse. No, they're being honest about a limit. They would rather not know than know it badly and lose it forever. Usually, we're too sure of ourselves. We build confident stories on thin evidence, and the record turns out to be emptier than we thought. This is the opposite. Here we know roughly what's down there. We just can't reach it without wrecking it. Our hunger to know has run out ahead of our power to protect. And for once, someone has the discipline to stop and wait. So the tomb just sits there, waiting. The hope is that one day we'll have the tools to do it much more gently. Maybe we'll have robots small enough to slip inside, or build sensors that can read a room without opening it. We'll discover ways of saving silk and paint and ink that we simply don't have yet. The tomb is a time capsule, and we're holding it in trust for people who aren't born yet. The emperor built a whole world underground to cheat death. And yeah, he failed. The guy died at 49, probably from the very stuff he thought would save him. But the thing he built has outlasted his empire. It's even outlasted his dynasty. It's outlasted 2,200 years of war, weather, and everyone who ever wanted to get inside. We still don't know exactly what's down there, but for now, we've decided that's the right answer. And honestly, there's something kind of cool about that. Guys, if you want to hear about these ideas in more detail and help support my work, then consider joining my Substack. The link's in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, like, subscribe, all of that, and I'll see you next time.